Hello and welcome to the Golden Playbook. Today we're going to go over my 7 favorite late round wide receivers to target in your drafts. Last week we did the running back version of this video, so if you haven't checked that out already, go make sure you do so. While you're doing that, you might as well smash the subscribe button. Just go ahead and support the channel. Without further ado, let's get into our first name, and that is Jayden Higgins. He is currently the wide receiver 48, ADP of 89 on Underdog, which is a wide receiver hungry site. So he's going much later in home leagues. And I think Jayden Higgins is an excellent flyer late in a Houston offense that proved without Joe Mixon, they cannot run the ball effectively. And guess who is injured right now? Yes, Joe Mixon has the foot injury. All reports out of camp is that Houston cannot run the ball. We know they have the questionable O-line. So I think they're going to have to rely on quick game, quick passes. And I think Jayden Higgins can legitimately be the wide receiver 2 behind Nico Collins, of course, in this Houston offense that should project for a lot of passing volume. And I'm really expecting CJ Stroud to kind of take a step back up in his 3rd season. Obviously was excellent as a rookie, took a little bit of a dip last year. I'm expecting CJ Stroud to kind of bounce back into form that he had during his rookie year. And I think Jayden Higgins is going to be a big reason why. Obviously, Nico is going to remain Nico. He's going to be the alpha dog in this offense. But somebody has to step up as the number 2. They absolutely need that. Last year, it was Diggs before the injury, and then also Tank Dell before his injury. Tank Dell is not going to be, back this season probably at all. So that really opens the door for a second guy. I know they signed Christian Kirk, but I think Kirk will play mostly out of the slot. And I think Higgins is going to be the other guy on the outside. Should play in 2 wide receiver sets with Nico. So I think Jayden Higgins is a great value and a great rookie to take a swing on, especially if you drafted some safe guys early, like, a Cortland Sutton, Amon-Ra St. Brown, someone who's just kind of going to give you a nice safe floor. If you want to shoot for some rookie upside, I really like Jayden Higgins late. Next guy on this list is Keon Coleman. He's currently the wide receiver 52, ADP of 98. Again, another guy going later in your home leagues due to, receivers not going quite so early like they do in Underdog. But with that being said, I like Keon Coleman to take a year 2 jump. A lot of receivers kind of take that, next step in year 2. You look at JSN last year, very underwhelming rookie season, kind of gets a more defined role, gets more comfortable as a wide receiver in the NFL, and makes a nice leap in year 2. And I really like Keon Coleman to do that. Obviously, he's attached to an amazing quarterback in Josh Allen with a great Buffalo offense who's going to have lots of scoring opportunities. I mentioned on the previous videos, if you don't know what to do, grab guys that are going to be on good projected offenses, and Keon Coleman is just that guy. And I know it's not much, but if you look at his game logs from last year, week 7, week 8, he had 2 very solid games, as finishing as the wide receiver 15 with 16 and 18 points respectively. And that was on 7 targets. I firmly believe he was starting to build a role for himself. And then in the Miami game in week 9, he does get injured and then obviously misses the next month of the season and kind of can't get back into the rhythm of things by the end of the year. But I think he was really starting to build on something in the middle of the season, and then injury derailed that. I really like Keon Coleman to take that next step, just as a guy like JSN did last year. And we know how many rushing touchdowns James Cook and Josh Allen combined for. Imagine if even just 5 to 7 of those become passing touchdowns, a couple of them going to Keon Coleman. I think he would absolutely smash his current ADP. Subscribe! My next guy is actually a 2-for-1 on the same team, and that is Kyle Williams and Demario Douglas, obviously both playing for the New England Patriots, and they're going in the same range. That's why I kind of grouped them together. Kyle Williams, the wide receiver 61, Demario Douglas, the wide receiver 64. ADP is about 140 for each guy, and this is really kind of who you prefer, but it's really just me taking a shot on a New England offense that we're expecting to take the next leap, expecting Drake May to become a very solid passer. It's looking like Diggs is going to be the obvious clear number 1, but someone needs to break out behind him. Kyle Williams, the 3rd-round rookie, has looked great so far in camp. I think he could truly be, the wide receiver 2, much like Higgins in Houston. I think Kyle Williams can be that guy. And then Demario Douglas is kind of a possession guy who's going to work out of the slot quite a bit. But Drake May really seems to like Demario, and he has been crushing in camp so far. And then I know Demario's, box score game logs are not very exciting to look at, but the thing I'm most intrigued by is the targets column. He had at least 5+ targets in half the games last season, and that's on a 50 to 60% snap count. So being the third wide receiver in the slot, he's not going to be, an 80, 90% snap guy. But when he's in there, it kind of shows that he is getting the ball thrown to him, especially on third down. I really liked him to take a leap last year. It didn't quite happen. Drake May, as a rookie, kind of figuring things out. Perhaps in Drake May's sophomore season, Demario Douglas will take that next step. But if you don't want to bet on that and you want to bet on the rookie Kyle Williams, I fully support that, and he'd probably be my favorite of the two guys. I'm just really intrigued by this New England offense. They've got some young electric players. Obviously, Travion Henderson has been electrifying so far, but I really like both Demario Douglas and Kyle Williams to really have a prominent role in this offense as wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 behind Stephon Diggs. And I think we're just really getting good prices on a lot of these New England guys because their offense hasn't been good the last couple seasons, but we're expecting them to make that jump. I think they're going to have, a lot more sustained drives, a lot more yards, points, resulting in fantasy points. So I really like this duo of New England wide receivers. I'll let you kind of decide who your favorite is. I lean Kyle Williams. I think the upside is higher, but I think Demario Douglas's floor is probably a little bit higher. So whatever you kind of did in the earlier rounds could affect, do you want to take a swing on a rookie, or do you want a guy who'll give you probably a safer floor? And my next 3 guys are exactly that. Guys I think are going to give you a safe floor, especially early in the season. If, say, you go for some higher upside wide receivers early, like Marvin Harrison's or some of the earlier rookie wide receivers, Tet McMillan. So if you kind of go for some non-solidified alpha dogs early in drafts, like a Travis Hunter, who, he could be awesome, but it might not happen right away. These next guys are some veterans that are going to provide, a nice, safe floor, especially early in the season. And I think they're just a little bit too mispriced based off what they're going to give you. And the first guy is Cooper Kupp. He's the wide receiver 51, ADP of 98. And yes, you can say whatever you want about Cooper Kupp. You can say he's washed. You can say he's old. You can say he's in a bad offense. So what? I know the end of last year was not great for him, and I think he was dealing with some kind of injury and just kind of out there being a decoy for Puka Nacua. But he had a stretch from week 8 to week 14, where he had a stretch from week 8 to week 14, where if you exclude the week 13 New Orleans game, that was a little bit weird. He scored at least 15 PPR fantasy points in each of those games, giving you 4 top 13 finishes in that time. So I think he can absolutely have this kind of run at the beginning of the season. Obviously, the risk of injury is there. He's kind of a guy who has dealt with quite a bit of injuries throughout his career. We obviously know about the Triple Crown year, and even just last year, he had a 4, 5, 6 week stretch where he provided you at least 15 PPR fantasy points. And there's not many guys that you can find this late in the draft that you can say will provide that for you. And I think behind this Seattle offensive line, Darnold is going to have to get the ball out quick. JSN, Cooper Kupp are the perfect guys for that. So I think Cooper Kupp, for what he can provide you, his floor, and even I think he still has a little bit of a ceiling. I think he is currently undervalued in fantasy drafts. And you thought Cooper Kupp was old and crusty. Well, this next guy is even older and even crustier, and that is Adam Thielen. Yes, Adam Thielen in 2025. I think he can provide an excellent floor for you in the beginning of the season. Adam Thielen has proved over the last 2 years that when healthy, he is Bryce Young's guy. His comfort blanket, when he doesn't know what to do, Bryce Young can't see over the O-lineman, he's going to throw the ball to Adam Thielen. Obviously, I know they drafted Tedoroa McMillan in the first round, and I absolutely love Tet. I think he's going to be kind of awesome. But Adam Thielen should be an excellent number 2 guy. And you can say whatever you want about the guy, but over the last 2 seasons, he had 25% target share and then 20% target share last year with a 2.6 yards per route run, which is really, really excellent. I know he missed quite a bit of time with a hamstring, and I don't expect him to play a full 17 games. But like I said, if you shoot for some higher upside guys early that, might take some time to develop over the season, Adam Thielen is an excellent late round guy that you can throw into your starting lineup week 1 and feel good about getting 10 to 15 PPR fantasy points. And you can do that all while getting him as the wide receiver 72. I mean, it just absolutely does not make any sense. I mean, it obviously makes sense because in theory, his upside is very, very low. But listen, he can provide a very, very safe, solid floor for you until your home run guys like a Travis Hunter, Marvin Harrison kind of swing into things in the 2025 season. So I think Adam Thielen, as crusty and as old as he is an excellent safe pick in the late rounds of your fantasy drafts. Alrighty, we are down to my last guy, and that is none other than Wan'Dale Robinson. And yes, I know he's not the sexiest pick or player, but he's yet another year removed from the ACL, only getting healthier. Last year, he had a 25% target share on 77% of the snaps with a whopping total of 140 targets. That is absolutely insane. Obviously, his average depth of target is really doo-doo. He's catching 3, 4, 5-yard passes and not getting any run after the catch. But in a PPR format, obviously, Wan'Dale Robinson can provide you a fine floor for where you're drafting him as the wide receiver 71. This is like a very, very late round pick that you're having to use to get a guy who could have 140 targets. Not only that, but the new quarterback in town is Russell Wilson, who absolutely loves to dump the ball down underneath, just as Tyler Lockett. He is a similar statured guy to Wan'Dale, who made an absolute killing of a career utilizing Russell Wilson's dump down. I obviously love Malik Neighbors early and think he'll have an awesome season. But there's other guys who are going to get targets. As you saw last year, 140 targets out of Wan'Dale is just absolutely insane. If he can even get to 100, 110, 120, with Russell at quarterback, I think the quality of targets are going to be much better than what he was getting from, Daniel Jones and whatnot. So I think if you're looking for a guy who, again, a safer floor early in the season especially, waiting on some of your heavy hitters to swing into form, I think Wan'Dale is a very, very safe pick. He's my least favorite of the 3 late guys out of Kupp, Thielen, and Wan'Dale, but I think he serves a very, very solid purpose if you need a guy who can give you, a solid floor week in and week out. All right, there you have it. There are my 7 late round wide receivers that I'm absolutely loving to grab. Like I mentioned earlier, we did the running back version of this last week, so make sure you go watch that video. I know it is full fantasy draft season. Home leagues are starting to get drafted, so make sure you check out these late round guys so you can be ready for that. Drop down in the comments who your favorite late round wide receiver is, who you gotta have in rounds 15, 16. Other than that, make sure you drop a like on this video and smash that subscribe button. I really, really appreciate the support, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.